Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Olympus number 500DR 26D-7-8. The part number's up here a little bit different, but we're going to go through what this door lock is all about. I have one removed from the packaging. Let's take a closer look at that now. So this is a relatively unusual deadbolt in that it can lock, or it can secure to the left or to the right. Let's take a look at that. And we'll start this video off with just a visual tour and maybe a little bit of a dimensional tour. But since I've already spoken about how it can lock to one side or the other, that's how that works. There's obviously a rack and pinion inside of there. I don't see that it would be any trouble to take this apart to explore our curiosity about how that works. I've done that in the past, and I don't think that you are necessarily interested to see that there'll be a pinion cam in a rack that will drive the bolt back and forth. It'll certainly operate like that. And as a result of the cylinder being engaged, obviously that pinion cam is connected to the back of the cylinder. When the key's pulled out, you can't push that in or out either way. So a tour of what's in the package, and then we'll talk about the dimensions. That's the lock body. A couple of original keys from Olympus. For T2, that is going to be a reference to how it's been pinned, and that's on the part number. So this video is agnostic of the actual code or the indirect code that's governing how this is pinned. So we'll just skip over that. You're going to get a strike plate along with it. Okay, and you're going to get all of the fasteners. Let me show you the fasteners. And we'll have two for the strike, these two small, relatively small flathead sheet metal screws. Okay, and we'll have four for the body. Here they go. Got a total of four for the body. Okay, now let's hit some basic dimensional properties of the item. So overall height of the body itself, about 1 5/8 inches. Overall width of the body itself, about 1 1/4 inches. Thickness of the body is about 1/2 inch. The projection of the bolt coming out is about 9/11/16. Height of the bolt, about 7/8. Thickness of the bolt, about 3/16 perhaps. The diameter of the face of the cylinder and its housing looks like it's about 7/8. Projection from the back of the body looks like it's right on at 1 inch. The strike, or the retainer, I wouldn't really call it a strike, about 1 15/16 inches by maybe 7/16. Thickness looks like it's a solid 3/16. All right, now let's talk about where would you use this item. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, where would you use this lock? Well, certainly you're going to use it when you want a non-handed lock. You want to be able to lock to one side or the other side and not be concerned about inventory. Many locks are left or right, or vertical or inverted. This will give you, left and right, so to speak. And that's really where you're going to use this. Drawer locks, cabinet locks, an application where a cam lock is really not what you have in mind. You have something in mind more robust. If you're building custom cabinetry, this is not going to a private individual, from what I can tell by the address. And you may be also looking for a lock that is going to be of a higher caliber in terms of security than wafer or disc construction. This is a pin tumbler type of cylinder, and there's a gold piece at the tip of my finger. That is the tumbler. It happens to be a pin tumbler that would represent technically higher security than a wafer or disc tumbler. But I wouldn't, to certain people, I wouldn't say this is any better security. This locksmiths could certain locksmiths could certainly bypass this, whether it be pin or disc tumbler, in the pursuit of serving their clients. This is also a lock you'll use when you want what we call non-retaining. It can be, the key can be pulled in either the locked or unlocked condition. That means non-key retaining. A key retaining means that when you unlock the lock, you can't pull the key out until you throw it back. You can then, or lock it and then pull the key out. This will also be used when you want to have this entered into an environment where you're going to be doing up to 2-level keying, which means, you know, you can have a group of locks keyed alike or groups of locks keyed differently, and each individual can be keyed alike. And then on top of that would reside a master key that could work all of them, potentially some of them. I don't know if they have any sort of multiplex system, meaning you can have an all-section key blank that will operate different key sections. That's a conversation that I'll just leave to reside in the depths of my curiosity when it comes to that. If it comes up for you, let us know. But why you might need that, you might have, let's just say 2 separate offices, and each of them, you've got human resources and you've got payroll. Each of those offices has a lock, or 100 locks, whatever it is. You can have them keyed any way you like, but if the owner or the manager of both departments, the COO, let's say, and the manager of that department would, with an all-section key blank cut to a master bidding, would be able to pass the one keyway in human resources, and assuming payroll has a different keyway. So those 2 departments couldn't go to each other, but that all-section blank could work either of the 2 different sections. Let's just leave that where it lies. And I think what we'll do at this point is let's now switch to the screen view where we can take a closer look at the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, we've talked about what size it is, where it is, etc. And by the way, the weight is about 0.46 pound, about a half a pound each. And where you use it, let's take a look at the extended description. But before we do that, let's take a look at some images that we have posted. Okay, here is some images. There's the packaging, the contents, a little close-up of the body, side view, obviously, top view, rear side, showing the bolt projected to the other side, showing the bolts, midway, so to speak, the strike, the keys, and the screws. There you go. Now, the extended description information. This is a CCL Deadbolt Door Lock, Corbin cabinet lock. Corbin Russwin, if you're into the commercial architectural hardware, is a company, an amalgamation of 2 separate companies. Many, many years ago, probably 1950s and before, P.F. Corbin did have a division that made cabinet locks. This is obviously a take on a CCL lock, this Olympus lock. Easily rekeyable via side set screw cylinder release mechanism. There is indeed a set screw in the barrel, and there it is. That is going to allow you to extract the cylinder out. Obviously, the lock has to be unlocked for you to be able to get to the fasteners, the screws that would be through the backside, in order to get to that set screw so you could pull the cylinder out. And we can take a look at what that looks like. Got a picture of the set screw removed, and the cylinder literally just comes out. It's a self-contained unit. You've got a C-clip on the back. I don't think there's too much there to be concerned over. Front view of the item. It's not a pinion cam necessarily. Well, I don't know what's behind there, what it's shaped like, but, it's driving it. Side view of the cylinder showing the set screw. Rear side showing the C-clip that will come off, and this is just standard pinning at that point. I wouldn't see a need to top load it. I don't like top loading because I'm lazy. To me, that takes more work. The set screw itself, a close-up of the profile of the keyway, and you can see that pin tumbler that's there as well. Okay. Now, let's continue on. It's a grade 1 lock, and that means it's passed 1 million cycles. It's been tested to operate not less than 1 million cycles. Solid brass pin tumbler cylinder drilled for 6 and pinned 5. They're available key to light, key differently, and master keyed. We talked about that. Barrel length and diameter dimensions. Standard function, locks are non-handed and key removable in both locked and unlocked position. Non-key retaining includes the bar strike. When you buy one, we'll sell you one. Let's go over or through these supporting documents. Some of this material will be duplicates of each other, but just different formats to see it in. So we're dealing with the 500DR. That means it's going to be a standard function lock, includes a couple of keys, the strike, and the screws. Okay, it's going to look like this. A couple of other options here, a weather-resistant version, and then an MRI function. Yes, it's what you think. It's going to be composed of all of components that are non-magnetic. So if you're going to use it in an MRI room or application, this would be the way to go. Clearly, Olympus has their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the hospital industry, and most definitely you're going to see locks from Olympus in those applications. And it's not only because they make high-quality locks, but they make locks that will accept full-size cylinders, in particular removable or interchangeable core, that or through by which the hospital can keep the integrity of their keying system. So if they're running a Schlage Primus keying system or a Medico keying system or a Best keying system, they can have locks from Olympus that will allow them to have those cylinders installed. So it's by no shock at all that they would list something for a hospital application. 500DR, talk about two different sizes in terms of the cylinder length. Okay, we're clearly dealing with the 15/16 cylinder length. Weather resistant, MRI. Specifications can be keyed together with other R-series locks. Again, it's rekeyable by means of the set screw, and it is grade 1. The function we talked about, key retaining we talked about, die-cast body with a solid brass pin tumbler. You can order these in 15/16 or in 1 3/8. This part number is specifically in our part number telling us that we want the shorter length body. We'll see if we can show you exactly that in a moment. Hint, it's going to be the 7/8 portion. I think it is. We'll take a look. Keying information. 2 keys in an R series. Stock keyways are listed here. 4T2 or 4T3. I do not know what the pinning is on this, but I'm sure it's going to be either, I'm sure it's the 1579. It's just the standard pinning on this. Because it's a 5-pin cylinder or a 6-pin cylinder, I don't know how many depths are in the Olympus system, but my guess is that it's probably at least 5. So, 6 to the 5th power is how many theoretical changes you can have. 6 to the 5th power. So multiply 6 5 times. Just using quick math, that's a large number. They give you part numbers for key blanks here, and included accessories, the strike, the screws. Optional accessories are here as well. You can discover what these optional accessories are. And this client indeed ordered the ETS2 trim plate. So we'll just take a look at the ETS2 trim plate so you can see what that looks like. Okay, it's not coming up in the catalog. That's interesting. I may have an image of it that we can take a look at. And indeed we do. I'll just sneak that window down into the camera view so we can look at it. That's what the trim plate looks like. Okay, that's going to dress up the installation pretty well. Yeah, I would have expected to see that in the catalog, but it's not coming up. That's a Control F on the keyboard, by the way, what I just did. Anyway, long bolt option is mentioned here as well. Let's look at the next document. Installation instructions. This is going to be pretty simple. It's just simply going to be drill a hole is the bottom line. The question is going to be, where do you drill the hole? And looking at the installation, you can see that depending on how the casework is applied, it's flush, or it's rabbeted, or it's hanging low, the dimension from the edge of the door to the center of the prep is not defined exactly, but they do tell us the overall width is 1.25 inches, and I think it would be quite safe to assume that the edge of the body to the center of the cylinder is going to be 5/8. So, you know, if the bolt is completely flush when it's retracted, which it absolutely is, and putting my tape measure on the unit itself, it does appear as if 5/8 is precisely accurate. So that back set might be 3/4 inch. That sort of thing. Now, there is, and since we're talking about it, there is a template that is available, which they don't mention here. The client also ordered the template, which is an ETS2T, ETS2T, sorry, 2T, ST2 is what it is, sorry, ETST2. And I do actually have an image of the template as well, which I'll show you. Same scenario, just going to pull that down. So that's clearly going to let you know exactly where they want that to be prepped. So that's no big deal. You know, I wouldn't dissuade you from purchasing the template. You know, I'm a cabinet lock, drawer lock salesman, but at the same time, I personally wouldn't buy a template to drill these two holes. Speaking about drilling the two holes, you know, knowing the back set is important. I would think 3/4 inch is going to be pretty substantial in terms of where they need it to be. They want a 7/8 hole drilled from the outside. Yes, I would certainly drill from the outside through. I'd probably drill halfway through each side. I would want to use the cleanest cutting bit as humanly possible on the outside. I would probably consider a Forstner bit. That will give you a very clean hole at least to start, and maybe you'll use something else. But a Forstner bit will give you an outrageously clean hole to start with. You know, or even a really small diameter router. You know, the smallest diameter router you can get your hands on, and then you know, create a template for it. The template that's included would not work for that application, but maybe a 2-flute 3/8 carbide router bit, plunge down, then go around, and that would probably make a very clean hole for you as well. Shows you the hand of the door. Now, not that it matters in this lock because it's either left or right, but this lock in Olympus, on these locks, they treat them the same way as they do safe doors. There are only lefts and rights. The hinges are either on the left or they're on the right. It's obvious, but they always swing out. So in the door world, a left hand swings in, only swings in. To the door world, this door would actually be left hand reverse. That's not how these cabinet locks are done, nor safes or mailboxes for that matter. They can only ever swing out, so they're just keeping it simple. Hinges on the left or they're on the right, whichever you like, but that's how they call them. Let's look at the next document, Datasheet. This is going to be, we won't cover this. If you needed to convey to someone else, like a architect or a general contractor, or build construction documents as to what you're looking for, this would be the paperwork to look at. There's another data sheet. This one I'd probably rename cut sheet. This will include all of the same documentation that we've gone over. Does, though, tell us satin chrome, satin brass, oil rubbed bronze. Then mentions the 600 here. That'll be a separate video to be sure. Page 2 is going to show those accessories that we couldn't see in the catalog. That's odd that we couldn't. Anyway, there is the trim plate. That might be pretty nice. The ET-ST2 template is not shown here. Other items that they have are obviously spacers. If you're dealing with an application where you need to build that lock body off the back of the unit for whatever reason, you've got something thinner, or the cylinder's hanging out too far, or where you need to reach to throw the bolt, you've got these 3 different sizes that are here. A trim washer, should you want to clean off what the face of that looks like. Trim washers are very common. This client did not order one, but that doesn't mean anything except that they don't require trim washers. Okay. Actually, forgive me, they do show the template. It's right here. Yeah. This is neat. A curved pull at the same time. You might have something larger. You really ought not turn the key and rotate it 90 degrees and then pull that cabinet open. If you've got, heavy-duty institutional self-closing hinges, you're going to be pulling on the key with, 10, 15 pounds of force initially, possibly. Well, probably less, but a measurable amount of force. The next document that we will look at is handing. We talked about that. You don't really need to worry about that with this lock, but other locks, as I had mentioned early on, they do come in 4 orientations. Rekeying instructions, that's neat. That'll be for your locksmiths. Remove the set screw, pull out the cylinder housing, remove the brass retainer, the C-clip I said earlier. Turn the key a quarter turn, turn it right 90 degrees. Place a plug follower onto the back of the tool, push the plug out, repin it, push it back in. Obviously leave the plug follower in there as you do that, and those are the steps. If you've keyed a Schlage F-Series lock ever, it's the same steps. Key retaining instructions. This talks about those locks that have key retaining, non-key retaining applications. So this is not one of those locks. And if you were to obtain a different cam disc, you would be able to switch that function. So what we're saying here is standard non-key retaining cam discs have a curved slot. And switching back to that image, this is definitely a curved preparation that's here. If you wanted to order it to be key retaining, meaning you can't pull the key out when it's unlocked, that might be beneficial. That's the part number that you're going to order. You'll remove the 2 screws that are in the front of the lock body, which are just simply, for purposes of demonstration, here and here. And there's not much in here. You're not going to break anything or lose anything, and putting it back together should not present any special challenges. But that's how you would change the function. Okay? That exhausts all the information except these videos from the factory. I would recommend that you review them. And speaking of reviewing things, there's a link here below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Olympus products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website as well as a link to the full product catalog. I do suggest that you review that full line product catalog because it will allow you to review those other cylinder types that I had mentioned, especially the ones that would take full-size keys, even, of course, protected, patented, restricted, security-style key ways from other manufacturers. Olympus isn't the only company to make that material, but they are an exceptional company that makes lots of options of this material. And as you scroll through these 80 pages, you'll notice that the format of the documents, the cut sheets, repeats itself. So once you become familiar, you will continue to be familiar with how that is laid out. Okay. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, if you, in conclusion, need that longer cylinder body, you're going to look at the other part number. And that other part number is not going to be 7-8, 7/8. It's going to be 1-3-8, that longer cylinder body. And that's just how these are measured and called out. There is no reason I can think of to suggest that you not consider Olympus. Wherever you're buying cabinet hardware from now, short of it being, you know, $8 for a 12-pack of cam locks, if you're looking for something not like that, very high quality, very adaptable, very capable of accommodating your requirements, backed by exceptional value, technical support, prompt, reliable, predictable shipping lead times, Olympus is a lock manufacturer that you at a minimum should be aware of. Any questions on the 500DR 26D, which is that satin chrome, 7/8, 4T2 keyway, or any other Olympus product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.